Hey guys, it's Marcus, and welcome to today's walk. And today what I'd like to do is talk about two main important ideas. One of them is scarcity, and the other is fear. Are we living our lives in view of scarcity and fear? You see, when I was growing up, my mom's husband used to tell me when I was going into middle school, he said, now that you're going into middle school, you got to watch your milk because someone's going to come by and put acid in it, and then you're going to go up and jump off the roof and die. And so when I started middle school, I lived in fear of this imaginary thought that was in someone else's mind, but that was passed on to me. So I'd like you to examine all of the thoughts that have been passed on to you about what life means and how you should live. Right? Are you afraid of things that are probably never going to come to pass? Because they say that 99% or 90% of the things that we worry about never really happen. And I'd like to submit to you that are you living your life in worry about the past and the things that you've done and regret, or in fear of the future? Because if you're living in those two types of mindsets, you're not living in the now. And one of the things that I find is very big in society and in life is the fear of messing up, the fear of failure, the fear of not measuring up or not making it to where you want to be. And a lot of people in my internet marketing business, they come to me and they say, Marcus, I'm afraid that I'm going to screw something up if I try. Therefore, I never try. Or I'm afraid that something's not going to work if I set it up. And so they never set anything up. And they live in this perpetual world of fear based on past experience. And the past experience says that if you don't do something right, you're going to get an F. And that fear becomes a huge motivator in our lives to do nothing. And we wonder why we can't do the things that we want to do, or we end up not having the motivation. Because there's this huge force, as if there's this giant, scary animal running behind you, trying to catch up with you, and you're constantly running in fear of what could happen, instead of testing what is. And instead of enjoying right now and saying, what can I do right now to change something? What can I do right this minute to change things for the better? Because right now, in this moment, regardless of your past, regardless of what happens in the future, you have right now to make a difference in your life. You have right now to make a change, and that's all you have. So forget about the bills that are due. I'm not saying don't pay them. I'm just saying put them out of your mind for now. Forget about the scarcity of there's never enough. Forget about the fears that you have lingering over your head about what might happen. Just a minute ago, as you guys know, I come out to the park to do my walks, and I just put on my headset and everything like that. And, I thought to myself an interesting thought, because my wife likes to watch crime shows. I think they're called crime shows like CSI and, Criminal Minds and all these things. And when I watch these, I notice a way that my mind changes. And I thought to myself when I came out to do my walk today, okay, there's a person playing with their kids. Perhaps they think I'm some kind of crazy person out here at the park by myself with my cigar, and perhaps they think I'm like one of those people on Criminal Minds and I'm going to do something bad. And all the while they're just playing and having a good time, and I have this thought because someone has imparted it to me to be in fear. And I want to tell you, friends, that right now you can let go of all the fears that are not serving you any longer. And I want you to let that sink in. Because I know for me, that was a very, very potent part of my life was living in fear, because fear was my protection. Being in fear was my protection. If I was afraid of everyone, then no one could hurt me. If I was afraid enough about money, then I'd make as much as I possibly needed. Or if I was afraid of you, then I could protect myself. And on we go. But as I started to grow up, I started to realize that I no longer needed these. That the people that I feared could actually be friendly and help me. And that's kind of the way I look at it today, is that we live in this scarcity mindset, in fear that everyone's out to get us, and everyone's out to take what little we have. And it creates this society and this world of lack, and this world of there's not enough. When in actuality, we live in a world where there's plenty. There's plenty of houses for everyone to live in. There's plenty of food for everyone to eat. Sure, there might be inflation, but there's plenty of money to go around. And on we go. But there's still people worrying. And it's this us versus them, right? It's this mindset of, I have to get, I have to battle, I have to work. And I remember my dad told me when I was a kid, he said, you know, son, you got to fight the world to make your living. You got to go out there and hustle and sell. And while some of that is true, sometimes we do have to get up and hustle. But the fact of the matter is we're not against anyone. No one's against us. No one really cares how much money I have. Well, some people do, but does it really matter? And I want to bring you back to the point of the idea of all we have is today. And right now, where you're at, you have enough. You might not have the things that you want, but if you're listening to this right now, chances are you have the things you need. You're not starving. You probably have a roof over your head. You at least have some kind of device that allows you to listen to MP3s. You have internet access, which is enough for anyone to be able to make money. So what's stopping you? Is it that imaginary fear? Are you holding so tightly to the little money you have, or lots of money you have? It's all relative, right? Are you holding so tightly in fear that you're unable to do something with it? Like the parable in the Bible where the master came and he said to these people, he said, hey man, I'm going to give you 1 talent. And a talent was the equivalent of a year's wages. So it'd be like someone saying, hey man, I'm going to give you $60,000 and I'm going to go away for a while and I want you to do something with it. I want my money to work for me while I'm gone. So go out and do something with it. And then he goes to the next guy and he says, hey buddy, I'm going to give you $120,000 and I want you to do something with it. And then he goes to the next guy and says, hey man, I'm going to give you $300,000. And while I'm gone, I want all you guys to go do something. Right? And he goes on his trip, and while he's gone, one of the guys goes out and invests money in the local market. And another guy buys some farms or something and invests money. And the guy who only got 1 serving of a year's salary or a year's wages, he went and buried it. And he said, man, I better keep this safe because the master's going to be mad if I lose it. And to most people, you would think, hey, that's a pretty good thing to do. He kept his money safe. That's a good thing. Yet, when the master comes back, he says to him, you are a wicked, wicked servant. I gave you this money, and you did nothing with it. You went and buried it. Right? And he basically says, like, go to hell, pretty much. And to the other guy, he said, hey, man, you were wise, and you invested the money that I gave you. Here, I'm gonna repay you. And then he goes to the guy who invested the $300,000. He says, hey man, you got me lots of money. I'm gonna give you some. And then he ends up the story by saying, whoever has will be given more, but he who has not will not be given. And that's kind of interesting to me because it's kind of anti the way that we think today. right? The way that we think today is, oh, well, the people who need it should have it. And those bad rich people, those people who make all the money, they're evil, therefore they shouldn't have it, right? And it's whole idea of distributing the wealth, as if people who worked and got money are bad for some reason. And what I'd like to submit to you today is that the same hand you give through and the same hand that you invest through is the same hand that you receive through. And if your hand is so tightly clenched around your money, if you're burying it to save it and keeping it and not doing anything and not working for fear of scarcity, then, my friends, you can't receive anything. And that is a dangerous place to be in. So I'd like to offer you the opportunity right now in this moment to let go of fears, let go of scarcity, and begin to look at your life, your goals, your talents, and your money as simply tools. Tools to learn from, tools to use, and tools to invest. And I'd like you to see the world the way it is, with plenty. And not that you have to go out and fight for your share, but that all you have to do is help enough other people get what they want, and you can have anything you want. I'm Marcus, and I thank you for joining me on today's walk, and I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you check out affiliatemarketingdude.com all the time. I'm updating it with cool stuff. Thanks again, and here's to a better life.